All right, starting off another one here. I figured I didn't really address this in the last video I posted, but had the time lapses of me talking about cutting the trim off, and had someone ask on how the proper way is to get it off, and I didn't really go over that, and figured I'd kind of address it so some of you guys know if you ever get an old car like this or even a Tri-5, so you kind of have an idea of how to go about it. So basically you just got these trim clips, which here's the back side of them. This is what would be on the inside of the car, and they've got nuts on there, but as you can tell, looks like they've been sitting at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, so there's no way you're getting those off. So what I did is, I was fortunate enough on this car that the trim was kind of loose, so I kind of just worked it back and forth, being sure not to tweak the chrome or bend it or anything like that. And then I opened up the door and used a rubber mallet and kind of knocked the trim back and forth, and then I was able to actually slide the trim off, and then it left the old rusty clips on the outside. Then I, like in the time lapses, cut the heads off of them and knocked them through. So sometimes you just got to be very patient, and it can be very frustrating. So if you get frustrated, it's better to walk away than get pissed off and bend and break your trim trying to get it off. So luckily this stuff come off pretty dang easy, and as of right now I don't think we have to address any of the other stuff, but if we do, obviously I'll show you how I do that. But anyway, exciting day. The tail panel pieces came in, so we're going to get these suckers unboxed and we'll get started on getting these two corners replaced. All right, here they are. So here's the passenger rear and the driver's rear. So as you can tell, it comes over and is just shy of that rust spot. So I will be replacing this myself, which isn't a big deal. It's just a very small hole. So we'll get going on these guys. We'll get this trunk open and start getting everything marked up, and kind of give you guys some pointers on doing stuff like this if you've never went about replacing sheet metal pieces or small areas. Okay, first step is to kind of give yourself a little mock-up. So it's a pretty decent fit. You can kind of see the seam right there. Someone's kind of worked this area before. But yeah, give yourself a nice little mock-up so you can see where the flange begins down there and on the new piece. And looks like it's going to fit fairly decent. I showed these in a previous clip, but the seam is like right in there where this will go, and then where the tail panel piece fills in there. So basically, I'm just going to mark this thing and get to cutting. But before you cut, when you mark this, get it exactly where you want it, and always cut shy of your line, so that way if you need to, you can always go back and cut more off, because you'd hate to mark this thing up and then go cut on the outside of your line or even right on your line, and you know, basically have it too big of an opening and you're kind of SOL at that point. You have to go through and make your life a little bit harder. So I'm going to get this thing held in place, mark it up, and start seeing what I need to do to cut it out. And I'm also going to smooth these little tack welds out from where my brace bar was when we were doing the trunk. All right, went ahead and held this thing up there and got me a rough shape marked up. So basically just traced it out. So I will cut on the inside of this line, because I know with the width of that pin and not being perfectly flush up against there, it's better to cut in about a, you know, ½ inch or so, just because I'd rather cut more off again than cut off too much. So well, we'll go ahead and get started and get all this cut out and see what we got after that. Okay, we've got everything cut. So the hurdle I'm running into right now is I need to get our little mini body saw because the cut wheel is not deep enough to get back in there. But also we got some spot welds. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or so. So I'm gonna grab a small drill bit and a spot weld bit and get those tore out. Okay, as you can see, we got it all cut out. I need to get this old flange off. Obviously, we want to keep the backside one from the quarter panel, but remove this this one facing us here. Clean these edges up just a little bit, and as you can tell, this inner section here is rotted out. So I got to remake most of this stuff. So gonna draw myself up a template here and figure out how I want to do this, and we will go from there. All right, guys, just got done grinding and cutting the inner structure that I showed you that was rotted out. Just made a quick template, so I'll show you guys what I did. I looked on the other side and didn't have to follow any specific shape. It didn't get exactly what the contour of the outer piece, which is kind of good for me, but just got this guy to slip in there. So then it comes out from that edge there, goes all the way up, comes over, and the corner bends down a little, or bends around a little bit. So basically I'll just go make this out of some steel we got over there, out of some sheet metal, and then I'll probably weld in through here, weld it through the top and down halfway a little bit, and then knock in the corner with the hammer to get that radius, and then weld that up, smooth it out, and we should be ready to clean the spot welds from the back side, clean up the edges and stuff here, and get our new piece on. Okay, we're getting this thing all in place, and I forgot to show you guys the inner piece, but it's all in there and done, and then we'll touch up the edges here once this is in. I'll probably insert a picture of the inner piece I made there. But got our edges all cleaned up, and I'm getting this thing kind of in the process of getting it fit right now. So I think the goal is to tack this one in place where I want it, and then that way we can go to the other side, do the same thing we did over here. That way we can mock up the tail panel piece, and if there's something I don't like fitment wise, it'll be easy to cut back apart and change it. So we'll go ahead and get this thing tacked in place, and then I'll show you guys what that's like when we're done. Okay, so like I just stated in that second clip, I got this thing tacked in, and I'm just going to leave it tacked in because I'm starting on this driver's side now to get it caught up with the passenger. So we got to do the same thing over here. Got to get this emblem out of the way, mark where we need to cut, get it all cut out, replace some of the inner structure, get it caught up to where that's at, and probably have to mill. Well, I don't know. Someone's been in here before. There may not be any of the factory lead, but I'm not holding my breath. I'm sure there is. So tomorrow, well, actually, I'll probably go ahead and get that emblem out, but tomorrow I'll be melting some of this leftover lead out, and I'll show you guys the proper way to do that. And I'll be getting this emblem off, and like I said, we're going to get it going and then get it tacked in place. That way we can get this guy all fit. Okay, we got the driver's side cut out, and looks like the inside is much worse on this side. So yeah, gonna have to replace it all the way back into there. So, well, yeah, we'll kind of tackle this tomorrow. So that gets me at a good stopping point for the day, and we'll pick this up tomorrow. All right, we're starting off the morning back on this driver's side, and got this edge cleaned up here at the lead seam. You can kind of see the glossiness to it that we still got the factory lead in here, as well as the other side. So got out the torch, and we're just gonna turn it on kind of lightly. Don't want to put too much heat to it, and we'll just hold it farther back. And I got a couple wire brushes, and we're gonna scrape this lead out of here, so that way I got good clean metal to weld to this time.
So my question is, what the hell are they using for seals?
I don't know.
And then
Yeah, a little bit up here still. Okay, just got the lead melted out, as you guys saw. And then I didn't film, but since I kind of showed you what I did on the other side, we let this go by. I got the inner flange ground off for this tail panel piece, and got this thing test fitted. So obviously it's not exactly perfect right now because I still have to do this inner structure, which I'll show you. Well, I already showed you how bad it is. It's awful. But I went ahead and got this mocked up in place so I can test fit this guy real quick just to give myself an idea of where it's going to be. So after I test fit this thing, I'll pop this piece back off and start hand making that inner structure. Okay, kind of got distracted and didn't get to film this last couple major portions. Had quite a few people stop by the shop today, and I kind of just got in the zone and wanted to get this finished up. But I think I left off showing you the inner structure that I needed to make because it was so rotted out behind that driver's side corner, which I will insert pictures here. And then after that, being that that was done and put the that rust enamel on there to protect it from ever wanting to rust, after that was dry, we were able to put the corner piece on, get it fitted and tacked in place, and then fit the tail panel piece. So here it is. So basically, I had to do quite a bit of work with this. These aftermarket panels just don't ever fit the greatest, which if you've done any of these cars or any muscle car or old car in general, you know the aftermarket panels kind of suck. So I had to do some splitting in here and up in here to get it to sit down where it needs to, as well as on this side, split here, split there, and got it pushed in. So got them all cleaned up. Now it's ready to smooth the welds out, and then that'll be ready for some body work. Okay, left off yesterday afternoon showing you guys I got the tail panel welded in. So I was describing, getting the weld smoothed out in there, and it's ready for the body work in there instead of using lead like the factory used to back then. So today, on the agenda to get this back end all squared away, I'll go over with you a little bit what I'm going to do. So we got the little deal here for the guide pin on the trunk right there. So we are going to get that measured and welded in place, wherever it goes in this general vicinity. We also got to weld our inner flanges with the spot welds. So I got them all clamped up down in there and ready to weld. And then got to finish weld this seam and finish weld this seam and then smooth everything out. And then also, any of you guys that have done Tri-5s, you know that these corners, you can tell, other than the beading right here not being the same shape as the factory, that's just a given, it's part of it. But as you can tell, this lines up really well, but the trunk always bumps. You can kind of see where it's hitting there. Let's see on this side, and you can see where it's hitting right there. So the best way to fix that is take your cutting wheel and actually cut along this radius here, and you can actually kind of knock that down a little bit and knock this down, weld back along the radius and smooth out to retain and get your, to get that rounded edge again. You just kind of smooth your welds out, which is why it's good to weld on that radius so you can actually recreate that. So we're going to look into doing that. I'm not sure if I'll get to that today, but obviously if I do, you'll see it. So I guess let's get to work on finishing this stuff up. And I would say all the stuff I just went over, we'll probably do it up for this video. And tomorrow is Friday, so we're probably going to use that day. The shop is a mess, so we really need to get some things organized and cleaned up. And then you'll look at seeing next week some stuff on the quarter panels. All right, got both sides welded in, as you can see in the time lapse of this corner, but I got this corner welded in over here as well. And the last thing we need to do is get this repaired. So basically, you know, this radius is still good right here, but I'll probably come up into here a little bit, come down and use this radius right here and just fill that little section in and replace that. And then we'll go through and smooth all these guys out. So that side welded in pretty dang good. But this side was like trying to attach two pieces of paper towel together. So that was just a little rough along that edge as far as the sheet metal being thin, but you know, it's in, smoothed out, looks pretty dang good, you know, ready for the body work end. Still got to smooth these guys out. So once I fix this piece and then get all this smoothed out, and that'll pretty much square it up back here, and it'll pretty much be done. I got the pinch welds welded in on the inside as well. So that pretty much is going to do it. And after I do all that, I'm assuming I'll have time today. I'll be shutting the trunk and kind of figuring out where I need to alter these corners a little bit. So I'll kind of take you through that as we tackle that. All right, just finished welding this stuff in, got it smoothed out. So it went pretty good, looks pretty decent. Got that one little spot patch, and you know, I didn't get crazy smoothing these welds out because, you know, these are going to need body work, and you don't want to grind them so smooth that you just lose all your strength. So because then the metal can start cracking. So we got it all done. And also, if you guys don't like sparks blasting your lip while you're grinding and stuff, it is always nice because the weld helmets have the grind option, so it is nice to wear the full face covering so you don't get blasted with sparks. But when you go to weld, make sure to switch it back, you know, not off of grind, because then you'll be blinded like I just did. You know, I tend to do that every so often, so always remember that. And let's see, I think we got all that squared away. I'm not sure if I'm going to get to the trunk corners today, so I'll probably include that in the next video. So that next video will start off with the modifying those trunk corners and then moving on to the quarter panels. So I know I didn't get to film a whole lot, kind of not as an exciting one, getting to see it all. Didn't get to see a whole lot of the process over here. So looks pretty decent. I'm pretty happy with it for what it is. So these seams under here, I'm holding off on these for now. So when I go to modify the trunk corners, I'll probably go back and end up welding these and smoothing them out to get it to match that. So it's a lot easier for the bodywork stage. But other than that, yeah, we'll just go ahead and end this off right here. So give us a like and comment and subscribe, and keep interacting. I'm trying my best to get back with people and like comments and stuff like that. So if there's anything else you guys want to see, let me know. I'm gonna try to get some updates on stuff, like I said, within the next couple weeks on like that Nova, the truck. And we just got in a 66 Mustang coupe that we're going to be doing a paint job, you know, body and paint on. So stay tuned for that. So yeah, we're out. Also, I forgot to mention, I'm not sure if the guy wants them back on. I will hopefully figure that out, but I do believe these are V8 only. I'm pretty sure if they were a V8 car, they got these, which we know this was an original V8 car. So you can see one of the original stud holes right there. And obviously the new panel's not drilled for that. So I just wanted to kind of include this. I will be drilling holes for these emblems on the next video, or filling the holes, one of the two, just depending on what he wants. So I wanted to make sure to include that, because I'm sure some of you guys noticed the little emblem holes and might question why they're there. So that is why. And I will, like I said at the start of the next video, I'll be addressing some of this other stuff and probably have the emblem in it, whether we're putting them in or taking them off.